Rishus Rabbi Michelson, the board, fellow members, and honored guests, Spalem, family, and friends of the honorees. Shavua Tov, and welcome to the 16th annual Melaveh Malka. I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone involved in making this Melaveh Malka possible, my fellow board members, Mike Holzer, Moshe Clinton, David Wolbram, and Avi Krieger. I would also like to thank those who have donated towards the Chinese auction, and particularly mention David and Razy Wolbram, who did a great job in getting the prizes and as well as preparing all the prepaid raffle tickets. Thank you very much. I would also like to mention the following people: Avi and Adina Krieger for working very hard on organizing the ads and preparing the journal. Benny Kahan for providing the music. And additionally, I'd like to thank all those who are here tonight to honor our friends Shmuel and Chaya. Further, we would like to take this opportunity to thank the Devarim, Chaya, Shmuel, Yitzi, for keeping the shul running smoothly. Of course, a special thanks to the Rav Pesach Mendelson, for all that he does for the community and his spiritual guidance. At this time, I'd like to call upon the Rav to say a few words and talk about our honorees. Yeah. Benny. Can we move the speaker to the center, please?
Good to go. On behalf of myself, the members, on behalf of myself and the membership of KMP Park, I give a huge Yashakayach to all the men and women involved in putting together this beautiful Melaveh Malka. A lot of hard work goes into our main fundraiser and Chevra builder of the year, and it's really appreciated. Yashakayach to everyone for coming out tonight, to mechazik us in this beautiful endeavor that we call KMP Park. Truly a shining light of Torah and Tefillah within the community. Baruch Hashem, the Gashmias and the Ruchnias of the Shul is strong. May we continue to grow together. Mechayel el Choyel. The Pasuk tells us, B'tabos ha'aron yiyu habadim lo yosuru mimenu. The poles of the Aron must remain always within, attached to the Aron. This was not the case by the Badei HaMizbeach or by the Badei HaShulchan. Famously, the Al-Shich HaKadosh explains that the Aron which housed the Luchos and Sefer Torah represent the Torah and those who learn it. The support of Limud HaTorah, symbolized by the Badei HaAron, must remain constantly and consistently attached to the Aron, because that support is needed at all times. Imen Kemach, Ein Torah. The question is, in the Aron, the Badim were not needed at all. Chazal tell us that even when the Aron was actually being moved, the Aron was no say es no so. The weight of the gold of the Aron was impossible to be carried. Miraculously, the Aron carried itself. The Kohanim were doing nothing to support it. How can we refer to the Badi HaAron as being the supporters of the Aron if in fact it wasn't necessary to do any support at all? The Aron was no say it's no so. I believe the answer is when you do your hishtadlus to support, then the Aron, the Torah, will support you. If you want the constant support of the Torah, then you must give constant support to the Torah. Similarly, the Beis Halevi expresses this idea in the very first words of the parasha, V'yikhu li truma. And you should take from me items for the Beis HaMikdash, for the Mishkan. V'yikhu, the word should have been v'nosnu, to give. Why v'yikhu? Says the Beis Halevi, when you give to a Mishkan, when you give to a Beis HaMikdash, or to a Mishkan Ma'at, as a shul is, you're really taking from it. You're receiving much more than you're giving. V'yikhu li truma. In that vein, I'd like to thank the constant and ongoing support of the board and the Gaboim and every single one of you who do things for the shul day in and day out, making the minyanim function, giving and maintaining the shiurim, whether on Shabbos. Special thanks to Reb Gil's student, Reb Shalom Goldring, for the Shabbos shiurim. Every single day, a thank you to Reb Avi Nuhov and to all those who attend these shiurim. My shiurim as well. Thank you for coming to those shiurim, and all those who do the constant, consistent, behind-the-scenes work in the shul. There's a lot of it, and you know who you are. I'm sure you all feel like I do. The more you do for the shul, the more the shul supports you. Kal v'chomer, this applies to tonight's honoree. Shmuel, with the reshus and support of his wife Chaya, has been the Gavei Rishon in the shul for, I think, about a decade. About a decade. It's a constant job. And it's a constant pain in the neck. It's the type of job that can give any person a headache. To figure out who needs an aliyah each Shabbos takes algorithms and differential equations that I long forgot how to do. To try to remember who got last week and who gets this week, who should get which aliyah, who just came back from a vacation. To remember all the names of everyone's children. It's unbelievable. And for many years, he was also involved in helping to find people to daven for the Amid, and that we all understand is a very difficult task. But this is a person who gives his all to the shul. But look at the returns. Look at the returns on this investment. Look at what you get back from the shiurim, from talking and learning with myself, Reb Gil, Reb Avi, and everyone else in the shul, literally. Everyone else in the shul, with this shiloh and that shiloh. Look at the returns. Look at Yossi. Look at Shlomi. They're in shul, I see them come on Shabbos afternoon to learn in the shul, each one with their own Gemara. It's unbelievable. They feel the shul's their home. They come and they daven. And what about Eli? Eli also comes, Motzi Shabbos, the Avos Abanim program. He learns so beautifully. And sometimes comes to davening also by Sunday Mincha Ma'ariv. Look at it. It's unbelievable. So Shmuel, we thank you for everything you do, but the truth of the matter is you got a bargain. Look at the effect that the shul has on your mishpacha. May you and your wife continue to get nachas from the shul and from your children as you continue to give and take to and from Kehillah Marine Park. Thank you very much. A good tavah.
Shkach, Rabbi. Shmuel Klein has been our Gavei Rishon for many years, and we appreciate everything he does for our shul. Shmuel and Chaya are very humble, kind-hearted people, and strive to help others in our community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. It's therefore a great privilege to call upon their honorees, Shmuel and Chaya.
Chaya, make believe you know who he is. About 10 years ago, the rabbi approached me and asked me to become gabbai. And the first thought that ran through my mind was, why me? I was new to the shul, and that was the first thought that ran through my mind. As I was exiting the shul that morning, I turned to Moshe Holzer and I said those very words, why me? And Moshe responded, you're the one person that no one dislikes. Hopefully that sentiment still rings true some 10 years later. Tonight is about Hakaras HaTov. So first I want to say thank you to my wife Chaya for all that she does for me. I would not be standing here without her. Tonight is about Hakaras HaTov both to the shul as well as to the Rav. I've had many interactions with the Rav over the years. A number of years ago, the Sephardi shul moved in across the street. And there were some shuls in the neighborhood that for the Shabbos drasha, they were swapping Ravs, where each Rav would give a drasha in the other shul. And I thought it was a nice idea. It provides achdus, a sense of community, a sense of unity. And I asked Rabbi Mendelson, you know what, why not? Let's give it a try. And he taught me a very valuable lesson. He said the purpose of the Shabbos drasha, if the purpose is simply to say over a Torah vart, then you're right. Who cares? You get a different flavor, you get a different idea, and everything is nice and beautiful. He said that's not the purpose of the Shabbos drasha. The purpose of the Shabbos drasha is to inspire people to be better, to do better. Each Rav knows his kehillah. They know the areas that they need to work on, or the areas that they're doing well in, but they can do better in. And therefore, each Rav is unique to his kehillah, and only he can give over that Shabbos drasha. Yes, there are many shiurim in the shul, and they should continue to grow. But the Rav knows that there's only one shiur a week that he has full attendance, that everyone comes to. This is the one time that I have the ability to impact everyone. And that is the Shabbos drasha. This is the time that I can inspire people to grow better, to be better. So how can I waste that valuable opportunity? What a valuable lesson. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Rav davens a very long Shemona Esrei, and at the conclusion of the Shemona Esrei, the Rav takes a piece of paper, just like I have over here, with everybody's names. And then he's mismalo for each and every person along with their family. Who does that? the Rav do this? On the holiest days of the year, on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, by the holiest tefillas of the year, by Shachris and by Musaf. And the explanation is simple. To the Rav, we are an extension of his family. So yes, the Rav davens for himself, he davens for his family, and then he davens for his extended family. No big deal. Earlier this year, I was sitting shiva for my father, and every single night the Rav came to daven mincha ma'ariv with us. There was one night in particular that I recall that the Rav came and he was totally wiped out. The Rav had gone earlier in the day to get vaccinated. As many of you know, it was very difficult to receive the vaccination. The Rav had the opportunity and went to get vaccinated. And when he showed up, you could see he was totally just a shell of himself. He was totally worn out. If I looked the way the Rav looked, I don't think I would have davened for minyan. You have to ask him for halachic psak regarding that. Yet, the Rav came. The Rav said, first, I'll make sure there's a minyan in the shiva house. Then, I'll be menachem avel, and then, and only then, will I attend to my personal needs and go to bed to rest up. Last year, Pesach, there were two different shuls in the neighborhood that had various shurim going on. And there was one shul that was going to have a manal from a very big yeshiva speaking between mincha and ma'ariv. And our shul was going to have Rabbi Ben Nun speaking between mincha and ma'ariv. And I had a tough dilemma. Where should I go? By the way, our shul, you also had to wear a mask. So that factored into my decision as well. So I started to think, and I said, well, if I go here, this manal, he'll say something very deep, very strong, but what's going to be the long-term effect? What's going to be the long-term reishim on me? And then I said to myself, Rabbi Menun will probably say something more down to earth, but it'll be something that I can take with me, something, a lesson that will stay with me. So I decided to go to Rabbi Menun, and boy, did I make the right decision. And Rabbi Ben Nun spoke about ein oisim mitzvahs, chavilos, that we should not bundle mitzvahs, we should focus on each mitzvah separately and not to jumble them together. And then he spoke about various halachas and nafkaminas, which I simply do not remember till today. However, he then spoke for the last remaining 10 minutes about Rabbi Gissinger. Rabbi Gissinger was a Rav in Lakewood. He was a very chashuv person, a paisik, who was nifter within the last few years. And he spoke about how he conducted his life and different lessons that we could inculcate into our own lives. He mentioned how Rabbi Gissinger, when he would speak to someone, his entire focus, his entire attention was on that person. Yes, he had many mispalim, he had many different things on his mind, and a myriad of different things and concerns on his mind. But when he spoke to you, you felt like he was the only one in the world. Similarly, when he went to a chasana, his total attention was on you. He wasn't thinking about what's next. His total attention, his total focus was on you. And our Rav is the same way. When he speaks to you, his total attention, his total focus is on you. The empathy, the sympathy that he speaks to you, and the concern that he has for each and every member is something telling. Years ago, my mother was in the hospital in Yom Kippur. She's here tonight, she should be well. And I remember right after Yom Kippur, so I called my wife, and one of the first things she said, the Rav davens for you as well as your mother. What a sense of lift I felt. Just a sense of gratitude. You know what, I wasn't there, but you know what, the Rav was davening for me, the Rav had us in mind. The empathy, the imai imnoichi b'tzara, he's together with your pain, with your sorrow, is something to be told. And he doesn't do this just for me, he does this for each and every member. As the Rabbi said many times, everyone is equal. Everyone brings different things to the table. Everyone has different koichos, everyone has different abilities. Each and every person is valuable. And it is the sum of the individuals that together forms our kilo. And that is why I am proud to be part of the kilo. Thank you.